Hello and welcome to the First Issue Club. We're your weekly comic book podcast where, just like Sue Storm, we love a good read. We're coming to you from stormy, wintry, blustery Kansas City under 11 inches of snow with apparently 2 more coming tonight. We missed you. We just buried ourselves out from our winter's den in our hibernation. Took our first shower in 21 days.
Yeah.
And are finally ready to podcast. There's no news this week. There's maybe a couple comic books, if you're lucky.
Well, the news is we're back.
But
First issue club is back. That's the news.
And, you know, they say no news is good news, but there is some news. And unfortunately, yes, First Issue Club has returned.
The rumors are true. We are back.
That is. We are sorry for you for that. Thank you for tolerating and entertaining us. You know, sometimes I think we must be Truman Showed. I had to have all these wonderful people who reach out and say, "Oh, we like your podcast. It's cool. It turned me on to this, that, or the other. I found out about Mr. Tiny Onion because of you." They're all plants. They're all robots. They all have stolen IP addresses.
Just like the birds, they're all fake.
They're all fake.
Even if they are, they still make me feel good. So bring it on.
They sit on those electrical wires to charge. Today, we've got a big episode ahead of us. We're going to do our 2024 retrospective. Your video game podcast. They told you the best stuff of 2024. Hell, maybe even another. If you're cheating on us and you listen to another comic book podcast, they told you their best stuff of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
We might do it a little. We might do it a little different over here, huh? Hey, we're not your daddy's comic book podcast reading off top 10 lists. Okay, we're gonna have philosophical, deep conversations, babe, about what it was like to be a human being who purchased comic books in 2024.
This is a real vibe check episode. Yeah. Like anyone can tell you the top 10 comics of 2024. We're going to tell you how you felt in 2024. We're going to take a temperature, a rectal temperature of 2024. And we're going to tell you how it turned out.
You will know whether you need therapy or not.
Spoiler alert, you do.
You do.
We all do.
Homie.
We all need a checkup.
Okay, on our Patreon this week, we did ins and outs, so we kind of looked forward to what's in and what's out for 2025, so that's a fun companion episode to this one. So go over there and check that out. Join us on our Discord if you want to chit-chat with a bunch of cool, fun comic collecting people. And then I would, as I always say, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the lovely company and their lovely product that's been keeping me warm all winter. Boulevard Brewing Company, specifically the Space Camper Cosmic IPA family of beers, one of the best, nay, the greatest IPA in the dang universe. So cheers to you, Boulevard Brewing Company, for bringing First Issue Club to people's ears and bringing great beer to our taste buds. Salute.
Thanks, Boulevard.
We love you, and we're in love with you.
Greg?
Yo.
This is the portion of the show where I pass off to you to say, how are we going to facilitate this deep 2024 retrospective I've just promised?
Yep.
Our listening audience.
Well, and this is the part of the show where I take that baton and I go, well, we're just going to kind of wing it. I have a few things here. I have a few categories, notable comic book events and series that took off this year, buzzworthy characters and stories that kind of took the world by storm. We experienced quite a bit this year, to be honest, whether it be an ultimate universe or an absolute universe. Big shakeups happened to big acclaim. Anthropomorphic animals had a highlight in 2024 with murder and martial arts, and popular 80s IP made a breakthrough in 2025, whether it be Robots in Disguise or G.I. Joes. I didn't have a fun name for that one, so I just said G.I. Joes. So we're just going to take a walk down some of the big hits of 2024, some of the books that I personally really enjoyed that made my 2024 more of a enlightened experience. And you will all do the same. Okay?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Kick us off, Greg.
Let's go. One of the big notable things for 2024 was the return of Marvel's Ultimate Universe, heralded by Jonathan Hickman. It was the revival of the Ultimate Universe, spearheaded in Ultimate Spider-Man. The standout being Ultimate Spider-Man, wherein Spider-Man is married to Mary Jane and Uncle Ben is alive. It spun out multiple series with Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men, so on and so forth.
Can I stop you?
I knew this was coming.
Is nothing sacred? Can't I love my eggs fried and my Uncle Ben's deceased? It's been the one constant in my life.
So, your
You gotta
problem
throw
is
that
Uncle
into disarray too. Kill that motherfucker.
is Uncle Ben's death that pivotal in Spider-Man's
It's
like
essential.
birth? You think so?
One of the things that I think would be interesting about the Ultimate Universe is if this was a Peter Parker who had no concept of the responsibility that comes with his power. Like that's where that line was born.
Right.
Was
So if he was
him
just
not
kind
taking
of
responsibility with his power, and that has shaped who he became as a hero, right? That's his guiding principle. Because otherwise he's a shithead teenager, and that's what makes him a unique character, is that he was just kind of like an asshole like any of the rest of us.
Right.
But without that one moral compass guiding light, who is Spider-Man? And that's an interesting comic to me, but we haven't really been given that in Ultimate Spider-Man yet.
Right. So, like,
however, I do love that book. I jest, I kid, and I fool you guys,
and that's why we're here. We're a different 2024 retrospective. There's no top 10s here, just maybe a top 4 or 3, but no top 10s. In addition to expanding universes, the Energon universe, which is on Image Comics, which is the Transformers / G.I. Joe amalgamation or creation from Robert Kirkman and many of his cohorts, kind of had a chokehold on many of our friends that we know and like the industry at large. There's no, in my mind, logical reason why this book did as well as it did or has been doing. It's just it's kind of like an enigma to me.
I'm gonna jump in here and agree with you and expand on that thought, because one of my bullet points here is 2024 was like a banner year for licensed IP.
Oh, for sure. Like with all that Marvel stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. What was the production
Predator,
company that has the imprint?
The all the Fox stuff.
Yeah. 20th Century Fox, yeah.
20th Century Fox, yeah.
The Aliens comics, the Predator comics, Planet of the Apes, yes. But think about like all the stuff that who is it, Scout or Ahoy? Think Space Ghost, Johnny Quest.
Gotcha Man.
Yeah, Gotchamon, Mad Cave, thank you. Toxic Avenger. Even stuff like, I mean, I guess Ninja Turtles was started out as comic, but I would call that licensed IP.
If you're on bed sheets, you're a licensed IP.
Yeah. Conan, right? All this stuff
Yeah,
is
Conan
just
O'Brien got his own comic book. It was crazy.
Godzilla Monster Piece Theater. Just licensed IP this year took a step up. It's not the dollar bin fodder that it once was in the past.
I do think that is interesting that like this was the year where comics figured out intellectual property.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, because before it's always been shitty cash grab stuff that like your creators are hired guns who are just like, ugh, I could do my creators' own stuff, my passion projects, but I still got to pay the bills. So I'm just gonna like fart out some Ghostbusters comics. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and then like Daniel Warren Johnson was just like, but what if I made it good?
and I do,
and everyone's like, what?
and I do think there's something to the connected universe of the Energon thing, which is what Void Rivals, Transformers, and GI Joe, like you were mentioning, that like just doing that from the start of it gave it a trajectory that you knew it was like something to invest in that was eventually going to like overlap a couple things that you love. Whereas like the IDW route traditionally has been like, let's throw the Power Rangers and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles together in a comic book. And then the next week they're fighting like Street
Naruto.
Sharks or Naruto or like whatever the hell it is. Like that stuff sucks when you're taking these like things that people feel like a deep connection to. It's part of them, like a limb, like their experience with Transformers or GI Joe. And then you tell them, hey, we're going to put these on a trajectory where they collide and recapture some of that like wonder for you. Like that's what's working.
No, yeah, big agree. As well as, okay, so we cover the IP, which is our popular blockbuster hits for 2024, but we can't forget about the independent darlings that made a smash hit in 2024. I'm talking about Tim Seeley's Local Man. We have Rare Flavors from Rom V. We have The One Hand and the Six Fingers.
Woo.
Like by Rom V and Dan Waters. Like independent comic books really made a huge impact in the industry this year. And I honestly think Marvel and DC felt it a little bit. DC and Marvel did their typical event stuff with Blood Hunt and I can't even was Sleepy Time Tea, was that this year for DC?
Was that their summer thing?
Night Terrors or whatever?
Yeah.
But was that the year before? God,
I can't remember. See, that's what I'm talking about. They're all just kind of blending together.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's like DC prior absolute and DC post absolute at this point.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Much like AC, BC and AC.
It's like it's just so all encompassing of like the heat that's keeping comics warm right now is like all absolute DC. Like if I had to give out one single first issue club award to anything, it's Absolute Universe.
Yeah. Yeah, like the hobo trash can fire that is keeping everyone warm right now is the Absolute Universe that is just keeping everyone toasty with the flames that it is generating. It is, and like consistently keeping up the quality with each issue that comes out.
Yeah,
like Wonder Woman.
The sleep thing was last summer, and this summer was Absolute Power.
Sounds right.
That sounds right.
Which led up to the Absolute Universe.
Yeah.
Right. But that's what my point was of just like it's so easy to get lost in the machine of DC and Marvel and them doing their, events every quarter, it seems like. But these thought-provoking independent comic books that we got this year, I think really raised the bar of what we wanted as readers.
Oh, well, think about the moment that Power Fantasy had. Like, people were obsessed with getting that secret variant cover was like the thing everyone had to have at a point in time. There was if you want to count this as indie, maybe like the king of indie. at this point is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles being written by Jason Aaron. Like that came out this past year. And that was huge. That breathed like an incredible breath of fresh air into a kind of exhausted franchise, in my opinion.
How about Magma Comics? That entire line
Oh,
started
right.
this
The
year.
Necromancer.
Principles of Necromancy.
Yeah.
Scale
They've
Trade.
only done the 4 books so far, right?
No, they've done a ton.
Oh,
I think they've launched 6 or 7 books.
Okay.
But their big launch titles were Principles of Necromancy, Scale Trade, Silicon Bandits, and I can't remember the other one. But I mean, Magma had a huge talent at launch.
And like while Beneath the Trees did debut in 2023, it's all anyone talked about in 2024 with watching that mystery unfurl and like just trying to solve the whodunit. And then with its recent announcement that it's getting a sequel, you can rightly see that IDW is trying to double down on the magic that they have right now with Beneath the Trees. So it's a great time to be an independent comic book fan. And honestly, it's why I think we kind of started this show, is to highlight these comic books that kind of get lost in the shadow of Batman and Iron Man and all those books. So
Rome Eternal and The Pedestrian were the other 2 Magma comics.
The Pedestrian, that's okay. Yeah, that book made a lot of people's heads turn at
so
New York
good.
Comic-Con this year.
It's so good.
Okay, this is kind of weird to say, but Penthouse Comics came back, right?
Yeah.
And that's just like a bonkers outlet for like really weird stuff. Like there's so much weird, I don't know, anthology style little zine feeling comics in those.
And you get it. Mike D loves Penthouse. Got it.
Big fan.
You heard it here first. Mike D, huge Penthouse fan. And then I wanted to give like a notable hit list of like books that kind of like rocked my socks for 2024, which was so The Deviant by James Tynion, which is like the serial killer book. That's also kind of like a Christmas story, like much like Gremlins and or oh man, what's the one with Bruce Willis? It's the
Die Hard.
Die Hard, yeah, that one.
You really forgot Die Hard?
I got a lot of things going in my brain right now, but it's like a fun like horror Christmas book, and James Tynion just refuses to miss. He's like the Michael Jordan right now of comic books. The Doom book by Sanford Green and Jonathan Hickman, whereas like that's the one shot.
That could be book of the year. I mean,
yeah,
that had incredible heat behind it.
And it was only one book. It was just a one shot.
That's if you zoomed out like on 2024 and took it like a look at what were the biggest moments, that was one of them.
And I think what's fun about that book is, so the Absolute Universe is huge in the comic book community, right? Like comic book fans know how great the Absolute Verse is. This Doom book kind of broke the barrier a little bit, and the fringe communities of like hip hop fans, graffiti fans, like heard about this Doom book and decided to check it out too. So I think that made my list of like movers and shakers, because like it kind of like broke free of our community and made waves outside in other areas. So,
and different avenues.
Right. Yeah. Right. Sorry. We're doing video right now, and I'm getting weird looks from Mike D, so I don't know if I'm...
No. Not at all. I'm just wondering if I need to interject. I don't know how much your how long your list is here.
Got 45 left.
Perfect.
So you could actually just sit back and
I shouldn't
go get a drink.
I shouldn't interject on every single one.
A few more that kind of made my list were the Godzilla Masterpiece Theater book. We've talked about it maybe once a week now. Is incredible. Maybe top 5 books of the year. It was just incredible.
I loved it. So good.
The Johnny Quest book from Mad Cave. One of those books we talked about IP making the big resurgence. That Johnny Quest book could have been a complete write-off, but it told an interesting story, gave a lot of heart. Same with the Space Ghost book by David Pepos. And now I'm hearing that they're doing a Space Ghost and Johnny Quest Space Quest book, like a team up.
Yes.
So they're really going hard in that universe, and I applaud Mad Cave for doing that because it's just a phenomenal book. And then the Plastic Man book that came out recently,
dude, Plastic Man No More.
Yeah, where he's I think it's Christopher Cantwell, and he basically just like he's disintegrating, he's melting. Unreal book, just an unreal character study of who Plastic Man is. And so those are my few notables, as well as kind of giving a flash of what the industry went through in 2024. Specifically, we can see kind of like a phoenix rising here at the end with the Ultimate Universe and the Absolute Universe kind of burning down the old ways and reinventing itself.
Let me rip off some like highlights of like different things that I kind of associate with 2024.
Okay.
Jason Aaron started doing some Superman stuff, and I thought that was like a huge get for DC to have a writer of that caliber writing their biggest character. They still have Tom King. I feel like every year that DC has Tom King and you're talking about like retroing the year, you have to be like DC won. They still have like the best writer in comics over there writing.
Well, he did like Wonder Woman. It's just like
the best comics of his damn life. Like everything he writes, I feel like I'm obsessed with. And then Nick Dragata doing his stuff on Absolute, just absolutely slayed. And like his original art is just like impossible to get your hands on, and people are obsessed right now. Marvel, we talked about this on the Patreon a little bit, but the Red Band polybags were born this year and had a little bit of chagrin. A moment. Kind of came out during like Blood Hunt, I want to say, was the first time I really associated with it. And we were excited. I remember like me and Vargas at least both bought like both versions to like compare them side by side. And as time went on, I kind of was like, with those, but definitely had a moment and feels like I guess that's kind of like an indictment on some things that they really feel like a moment in time. And with other things, it's like the highest compliment that it's like, oh, that year was this thing. But I that lands a little more on the indictment side. Staying on Marvel, like one of the like huge things that happened that kind of went out with a whimper, I feel, is that Krakoa crumbled and X-Men relaunched. Right. And the fact that like that wasn't a huge moment is disappointing, I guess, as an X fan. Like, not that like I can't look at those books and say, oh, I hated the way Krakoa ended, or I can't look at those new comics and say, oh, I hate the direction of the new comics. Like, it's all good, but it didn't have the like hobby cultural moment that I think I wanted it to have, which is very unfortunate.
Well, and specifically how it started was huge.
Such a big thing. Yeah.
It's why we started the Patreon to like do shows about
that's true.
Excess
Powers.
X book. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to have it go out with such a kind of lackluster fanfare, such serious butt. Like it was not good.
Yep, totally. Another weird thing about Marvel, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I kind of feel like they didn't have the major titles that were buzzworthy. Like, yeah, Marvel had its hits and its really good books, but like Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, like some of these like massive characters just didn't necessarily have those like really strong titles that were like moments for people. Like Immortal Hulk had been in the past, or like Jason Aaron's Thor was like a big leading thing. Those, when I get my comics week to week, month to month, those kind of are starting to feel like afterthought books to me, which is crazy because they're Marvel's biggest titles, right? It's
Yeah.
just like a lot of this stuff's adding up to me being like, man, Marvel kind of had a weird year. Like with DC doing like so many big things in the absolute universe, and then like
Mm-hmm.
not that I necessarily feel like Marvel totally like dropped the ball or anything, but um a couple moments were squandered.
I kind of wonder if their main focus, Marvel and DC, was their end of the year stuff with the absolute universe and the ultimate
Mhm.
universe. Like that's a big risk for any publisher.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think this year we saw Chip Zdarsky end his Daredevil run.
Yep.
I
And go
think,
over to DC.
yeah, and I think Al Ewing finish his Venom run? Like a lot of runs ended
Yeah.
this year for Marvel. So, and they were like tenured runs. Like this was like these were huge series, like wrapping up stories. And I mean, you're right. Like all those writers and artists that we loved from Marvel the past 3 years have like shifted to DC. Like I think it's like kind of a poaching thing of just like DC saw what they were doing a couple years ago, and they're just like, hey, when you're done, why don't you just come over here and write some fun stuff? And we may see that switch in a couple years, and
Yeah.
who knows?
Well, at the same time, not to play devil's advocate, but at the same time, um, I think Marvel gave, or it allowed Marvel to give space to folks like Jed McKay,
Jed McKay has the keys right now.
Yeah,
and
He's in the driver's seat, and he's building
Yeah.
towards like their next big event. Like he's writing all like the big good stuff.
Yeah, but the big good stuff is Doctor Strange and Moon Knight,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Right.
and
Mhm.
that's a weird
It's
moment.
niche characters, yeah.
You know, he wrote Blood Hunt, and Blood Hunt was like a feature book for Moon Knight,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
obviously I'm super happy about it, but that's very strange. It also let we had that new Avengers run start. We had the Avengers spin-off book start.
Oh yeah, West Coast Avengers and Avengers Assemble.
Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had these tenured runs kind of end,
Mhm.
but we had a lot of I think smaller Marvel characters kind of get the spotlight
Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah.
And this is my tinfoil hat moment for me is we know that like Kevin Feige is like getting more involved with the comic book stuff. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering if they're
See, like people are burnt out on Avengers, like don't go so hard.
or like they're just they're like trying to formulate with what the movies are also going to be doing the next couple
Yeah.
years. So they're just trying to like get more cohesion and
An alignment year.
it's a rebuilding year as
Yeah.
they say in football.
Yeah.
So I mean Marvel did not have a bad year, but I
No,
can't
I mean,
think of a huge book that was just like besides the Doom book maybe.
yep. Venom War has been cool. Like a lot of
Yeah,
people
but
have
Yeah,
harped on.
there's a new Venom, right?
Yeah.
Eddie Brock or Dylan Brock aren't Venom anymore. There's a new
Right.
Venom.
Animal of the Year, Jeff the Shark. Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Came onto the scene with Marvel Rivals, and
Yeah,
nothing's ever been the same.
And has been
since.
hated since.
true.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, if
People
you
are
have
still
them,
like
you love them.
going after that first appearance. So funny.
It's crazy that a video game can now influence the first appearance of a character. Like, that's kind of cool.
It is cool. I do like that Jeff had a moment that everyone was like, "Who is this shark?" And I
Who
love
is
that
this
for Kelly
shark?
Thompson. I haven't heard like Kelly Thompson get interviewed and talk about it, but I would kind of love to hear her reaction to
Let's hit her
that
up.
stuff. Yeah, she'd probably.
We have her email.
She's
Yeah.
very friendly and open to doing podcasts of even people who just have like 12 listeners. She's like super
Perfect. So we're
giving
right
with her
in
time.
there.
Okay, some other stuff. I mentioned this a little bit on our Patreon. This is the year everyone turned on CGC.
Oh, yeah. Like heel turned.
The turnaround times have been bad. The quality control's been bad. People have lost comic books. They started doing the signature verification stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which they were previously like, we'll never do that. We're a gold
Right.
standard. Like we have to see that in person. We're like only dealing in authentics. And then they were like, shit. Like
Well,
we're
we had our fingers crossed.
everyone's mad at us. Let's do the thing everyone wants now.
Yeah.
Just like a couple things rolled out in ways. They're like, all the stories about people stealing stuff that work there. Just really bad year for CGC in general.
Well, and our friend Doug came on and talked about his whole saga.
Yeah.
About how they said they lost his first appearance of Swamp Thing, and he regaled us with his tale of that whole drama,
which was
So
like what
crazy.
it ended up being in a condition that was like it made it like a $3,000 book.
Yeah,
or
like
something
he
that.
got a great ending of it, but a lot of people don't get that kind of storybook ending that he got, and it's just like the validity and the reputation for CGC was so tarnished in 2024. It's almost going to be impossible to get back to where they were.
This was also a year of Taylor Swift variants.
Mm-hmm. I have all of them.
I think that's hilarious. That cracks me up so hard that didn't pan out.
Yeah,
That she didn't show up in X-Men?
What, Marvel and Deadpool? Or no, sorry, not Marvel.
I was
and
just
Deadpool.
goofing around.
Yeah.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you guys think that there's some validity to that, but the rumors were wrong about which movie it was? Or this is just like was never gonna happen, and then just like a rumor caught fire and we had like 40,000 Taylor Swift variant covers.
Here's my thought on it. What's the incentive for Taylor Swift to be in that movie?
Fan base supporting the movie with money.
She's a billionaire.
A favor for a friend.
Yeah.
I think that's why people thought it was going to be the Deadpool one, because I think she's friends with
Blake
Lively and
Ryan Reynolds' wife. Yeah.
But
how does it help her? It keeps her in the limelight for other reasons.
She's the
It doesn't matter. It
couldn't be more in the limelight.
Doesn't matter.
She's the only person in history to make $1 billion on music alone.
And she wants more, and like her company wants more. Like that's just how it works. Like, want to put her in a Marvel movie? Sure, we'll do that. Like it.
Yeah, and she can just.
Travis Kelce.
I don't
why
want to
not
do that.
She didn't do it though.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now we're getting back to the conversation of was it ever a thing? I don't think it ever was a thing. Like I think it was just someone made the thoughtful comparison of just like, oh, she looks like Dazzler, and the comic book community took hold of it. And entrepreneur, like-minded, I don't know, retailers was just like, give me a variant with that because I can sell 500 of them.
Here's what I love about that not coming to fruition is that I feel like everyone that was buying Taylor Swift covers were buying gross, hyper-sexualized like drawings with Taylor Swift's face on them.
Sure.
That were just like, that's not for Taylor Swift fans. That's for people who think Taylor Swift is going to show up in a movie, and then they're going to be able to get money off of these like weird covers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like, and I absolutely love that those are garbage now.
That those people got roasted.
And also shame on those artists for just like taking a real person and drawing such like gross covers that they did.
Yeah. I bet about 50% of those were AI anyway, but
probably.
Which makes it even grosser that you can't even put talent to making a gross cover. You have to have a computer do it. You have to go. You have to be sleazy enough to go into Chat GPT and be like, generate for me 13 sexy images of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, how hard is it to make a sexy Taylor Swift cover? Right? Like
just post a picture and it's done. Like exactly. A normal picture. She's a beautiful young woman.
So dumb.
Media-wise, Penguin, I think, was the big standout.
Yeah.
And obviously, Wolverine and Deadpool was a huge success, and we all went and saw that movie together, and enjoyed it, had a good time there.
Can I pose you a question for let's go through a hypothetical for Wolverine Deadpool. A lot of people hypothesize that if that movie flopped, that Marvel was going to be in huge trouble because it would lose like the fan base or like the good graces that moviegoers can bank on a Marvel movie being good, right? And we all know now it made like $1 billion fucking dollars because it was a good movie. Can you guys think in a world that movie doesn't do well? What does the Marvel movie schedule look like? Do they just kind of plow ahead as normal, or do you think they switch up things?
I don't think it would change much because they're already paring everything back.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're already reacting to superhero fatigue, right?
Yeah.
We got two Marvel TV shows this year, right? Agatha and What If. Were those
And
the only two?
Agatha was a bit of a cultural moment.
Yeah.
People really loved that show.
Yeah, Agatha was really good. I haven't watched What If yet, but
And
obviously
then
it's not making much of a splash. But
this side note to that is this is the year Sony's Marvel Universe died, and
Yeah, graciously.
R.I.P.
our hopes for Madam Web 2 will never be fulfilled.
And I think that was a big reason Marvel was like, yo, let's chill on the MCU stuff because everyone's going to get trash Marvel movies this year and we don't want to be associated with them.
Yeah.
Or like be I don't know, just like let people just forget about those and let them be a fart in the wind and we'll come back strong next year.
Yeah.
I think they're
2025
trying.
is going to be huge for them.
It's an interesting question though, Greg, because I do think there is something to like the Marvels. I mean, people really liked that movie, but people didn't go see it like they used to see any movie that was a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Marvel's doing is they're trying to make their movies events again, right? Like, oh, this the new Marvel movie's coming out this weekend. Got to go see it.
Yeah.
It's it's the old showbiz adage, like always leave them wanting more, right? And we've been shoveled that nonsense into our faces.
Since 2019, they have not followed that advice.
Exactly.
I think casting Harrison Ford was huge and making this look more like a political thriller sort of thing
than so excited.
Typical Marvel movie is like very exciting for people. So I am really I could see that movie just like having really disappointing returns, and I could see it, again making just like a huge stack of money. Like I just have no idea what sort of bank that movie will bring in.
I don't know what that new Captain America movie is going to do, but I do know that the Thunderbolts movie is going to make $55 billion because it looks so fucking fun.
See, that's another one where I agree. I think that movie looks fun, but I also think it's one of those things that people are like, what is this? And
well, that's what, but that's James Gunn's Suicide too, man. Like, who knows what this is going to be? It looks like you could go into it knowing comic books or not knowing comic books.
I kind of feel like you could say the same about like the Marvels was like a fun team up movie with a handful of characters, and people were like, who are these other people? Like, I know Brie Larson, but like I don't know these other two people. I have to follow all this other shit to understand it.
Good call.
I think that other movie kind of suffers from that too.
It definitely does. It's the Thunderbolts is way more tied.
Here's a group of people from 6 different movies.
Yeah. And TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know and I mean? TV shows. Yeah.
But maybe it's because I've seen them all and I know who the Thunderbolts are, but I'm just like, and I know who the Sentry is. I'm just like, this movie is going to freaking rule. So sorry, we went off on a tangent about Thunderbolts, but we're good.
I'm super excited for Thunderbolts too.
Yeah.
Not only because I own the first 2 appearances of Thunderbolts, but
biggest things we're looking ahead to, unless someone else has another 2024 thing, I'm kind of
Oh, I've got
getting
2024 stuff.
Oh, do you? Okay,
Oh
sorry.
yeah, for sure.
I'm starting to get spent.
2024 was the year we saw horror anthologies come back and
Yeah.
be a huge thing.
Yeah,
Cruel
baby.
Universe, Creep Show, Epitaphs.
Cruel Kingdom is starting up
Yeah,
in
Cruel Kingdom.
2025.
Ooh, I just read that. It's phenomenal.
I'm so excited for it. Yeah, EC Comics came back in a big, huge way. Kind of picking up what I was hoping the Boris Karloff Gold Key would be. That
Oh, I
was
just saw another Gold Key book show up on previews.
Oh,
and I was,
really?
Oh, so
yeah,
they're still
and
doing stuff.
yes, I was like, oh, this was an experiment that failed, but it turns out there's something coming out. So.
Okay, yeah, I thought the same.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so horror anthologies, EC Comics specifically. We had a big Marvel event that was horror themed in Blood Hunt.
Mhm.
Obviously, they had all the spin-offs for that. Obviously, the year of Moon Knight was 2024.
Yeah.
He got his
Good year for Vargas.
It was a really good year for me. He got his first mini series in City of the Dead that wrapped up this year. Second mini series, Phases of the Moon Knight, came out this year. We had
Scarlet Scarab.
Scarlet Scarab. We had not one but two Moon Knight number ones come out this year.
Mini
'Cause we
Moon
had-
Knight.
New Champions 2025 is going to have Moon Squire make
Moon
his
Knight
first
Jr.?
appearance. Yeah, Mr. Moon Knight, Mrs. Moon Knight. We got the Moon Knight family.
Waxing and waning, the twins.
So horror books were huge in 2024, and I'm very excited to see that trend continue. We talked about it a little bit, but we got our first taste of the reborn James Gunn DCEU in Creature Commandos out on Max.
The Superman trailer.
And the Superman trailer. Again, going to be absolute crazy year next year for superhero movies. But I think the way that they're kind of slow rolling the reborn DC movie universe is a smart move. And launching it with something as weird or niche as Creature Commandos is a good idea, because James Gunn has shown that he can make people care about weird, obscure characters. Think Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, the TV show specifically.
It's such a good move. I think that's such a good way to get all like the real dweebs to buy into, which I use that term like lovingly.
Lovingly.
Like, we're like total dweebs and are just like, oh, this guy gets us. Like that. And they've been very purposeful about slapping James Gunn's name all over everything because more than anything, he's a celebrity now who has a great reputation for understanding what nerds like.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
it's kind of wild.
He proved it again with the cartoon, and his name's all the fuck over the intro and the title and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's been a shift, because 4 or 5 years ago, I think we all would have said that Taika Waititi would have been the main person that would have been like helming all of this, and not James Gunn. It just seemed like that guy was all over every superhero thing.
I think you ask people what the best Marvel movie is still, and like 90% of people are going to say his first
Ragnarok
Thor movie, Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's really good, because it was
It's
a breath of
top
fresh
5.
air from a kind of a middling franchise.
Definitely. What else do I have on my list? Oh, I have trippy horror. I think kind of made a little bit of a comeback.
Okay, go on.
This goes along with the EC Comics and Hello Darkness. Well, those anthologies.
Those are good, yeah.
Kind of let people be a little
Skin
weirder.
Police.
Yeah,
Our Bones Dust.
Exactly, all that stuff. The body horror and psychedelic horror kind of came back a little bit, and even stuff like the Universal Monsters book, they all came out this year. Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and those were all, I don't know, maybe trippy's the wrong word, but they've all got that like A24 elevated horror kind of feel to them.
God, so speaking of that stuff, if I had to get, even though this is like right at the finish line for this guy, if I had to give out a cover artist of the year award, it would be Mark Spears. Like, what a friggin' moment this guy is having right now.
Turok Bart Spears?
Mark
Spears.
Mark.
Oh, okay.
Mark Spears. Are you familiar?
No, I thought you said Bart Spears. He did all the Turok covers for Dynamite way back.
Google Mark Spears comic covers.
Okay.
This guy.
These aren't gonna be like the nudie ones, are they?
No. This guy, his all of his covers are selling for like crazy amounts of money on eBay.
Mark Spears Monsters.
Yeah. He has a series, but he does a bunch of variant covers.
Uh-huh.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Is this the first time both of you are hearing of this guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, welcome to the Mark Spears universe. I mean, like,
it kind of looks Alex Ross-y.
Yeah, it's like really vivid colors, horror, like old school horror poster kind of vibe to it. And I'm telling you, his first handful of like horror books and those first couple monsters issues are like selling for crazy amounts on eBay.
Oh yeah,
people are going nuts over this guy.
Cool.
He's done a couple like action comics and other DC variants lately, and they sell out like immediately.
Holy cow, these are going for a ton of money.
Yeah.
Sick.
Now I want them.
But his style is rad, and it's all very horror. Even his superhero stuff that he does, like the coloring and the lighting is just kind of like haunting in a way that's like really rad.
Yeah. This is very, very EC Comics.
Yeah.
Totally. Love it.
2024 was also the 50th anniversary for Wolverine.
I believe you.
Did they do something for that?
I think I don't remember.
They released a movie with Wolverine in it.
Yeah.
That seems like something they'd do like a
million covers for?
Yeah, like a big release with 1 million covers for, but I don't remember that at all.
Maybe they're listening to our advice and not doing gimmick covers.
What else you got 2024, Vargy?
All the stuff we kind of covered. We talked about Red Band Marvel. I think there's potential there. Mike D and I slightly disagree on that. Absolute DC, Ultimate Marvel. Talked about Universal Monsters. Talked about licensed IP and Magma Comics. Some of my specific shout outs this year. Garth Ennis wrote a 007 run that I was very pleased with. DC Black Label is holding strong. We talked about Plastic Man No More. I also want to shout out Junie Ba's Boy Wonder, which is
that was a great series.
Top tier comic book.
Shout out to the Return of Vertigo.
Return of Vertigo, yes. Very excited about that. Returnigo, yes. Yeah, it'd be cool if we got some, old, maybe a sequel series or something.
Yeah.
Love to see Jason Aaron do some more Scalped or, a Preacher sequel series or something from Garth Ennis. That'd be cool. Yeah, that's pretty much my list.
All right.
Magneto died and then was resurrected.
Sure.
Of course. The to the heroes we lost in 2024 that
and
also
then reclaimed.
That also returned in 2024. Okay, while we're doing quick hit shout outs, Mark Brooks for all of the Disney-fied things.
Oh man.
Like,
did he strike gold or what?
Yeah, I feel like people were upset, like the hobbyists were obsessed with his Instagram account in a way that like you don't really see like interest in a creator's social media like that.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. So, I remember when he first started doing them, and he called them Disneyfied, and then he had to change them to Defied because I think Disney reached out and was just like, these are getting a lot of
attention
and clicks.
Disney owns Marvel, so it seems, and you work for Marvel, so
Right.
it seems like
right
an endorsement.
So I think they're just like, you can't say Disneyfied.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
And I think they might be turning some of them into variant covers.
He's starting to do covers in that style.
Yeah, okay.
And again, they're not calling the covers Disneyfied or anything, but
right.
But it also just like so frustrating how talented this guy is that he can be like, oh, why don't I just like change my art style on a whim and just like absolutely nail the aesthetic. It's just like so different than his other work.
Right. Hyper realistic to simplistic and cartoony.
Cartoony that just like looks like Pocahontas, you know.
Yeah.
Or
like straight out of a Disney movie.
Disney princess, like just like dressed up as cosplayed as a Marvel character.
It's very cool. Sorry, I hit the mic with my hand.
All right. Is that 2024, boys? Any 2025s? Did I already ask this? I think I did. What are you looking forward to in 2025?
It's hard to say.
What happened to Booster Gold in Absolute DC?
I guess I am excited to see how they continue the Absolute verse, because as we speculated, there has to be an Absolute Justice League eventually, because they like money and they're not dumb. So eventually we'll see like whatever version of the Justice League is going to happen there.
Well, yeah, Absolute Flash, Absolute Martian Manhunter are both coming out soon.
Yeah, and Absolute Green Lantern.
Yes. That Martian Manhunter preview art is
bonkers,
wild.
Right.
I'm stoked for it.
Amazing Spider-Man 1000.
Yeah.
This will be the first Marvel book that's actually hitting 1000. I know they've released number 1000s before.
Mm-hmm.
But this will be the first one that's legacy numbering is actually getting to 1000.
I'll have to catch up on the previous issues to know what's going on. And
you got to read 1,000 comics.
I got to read 999 comics. That sounds like torture. That sounds like absolute, like what they would do at Guantanamo Bay to people to torture them.
And a new creative team started on that book, so I'm just excited to see like what new direction they might take things.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to see what indie books come out. I'm really enjoying these creative publishing imprints and what they've been producing. I kind of like when those people get the keys to the car and like can like do the stuff that they want to do, and it's proving to be really advantageous for the creators and the publishers that are doing it. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of excited to see where comics continues to go in 2025.
Another Marvel thing is that we've kind of been promised 2025 as the year of doom.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I think I think when we do this next year, we're going to be way more optimistic about the year Marvel Comics just had than we were this year.
We'll be like,
again,
too much doom.
Not saying I loved all my Marvel Comics and I loved Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk and all the stuff that we mentioned. It's just it didn't have like the big wow, everyone's talking about it sort of stuff that like
Mike's backpedaling like he's gonna get an email from CB Cebulski after this episode is published.
I just don't want to sound like a hater. Like I really enjoy,
no, yeah.
I enjoy all that stuff. It's just like it didn't have the big cultural moments that it normally does.
No, yeah, I completely agree, and I don't detect any hate in what we've been talking about in 2025.
I'll give a couple of interesting things for 2025. Characters entering the public domain in 2025.
Yeah.
Tintin and Popeye.
It's wild.
So Mad Cave has Popeye right now.
As well as the first printed Tarzan strips enter public domain in 2025. So
I'm excited to see what Dynamite Comics does with that.
Did you see that Steamboat Willie shooter someone made?
oh, wait.
It looks sick.
The video game?
Yes.
Are you talking about Mouse, the game?
I think it's called Mouse. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
It's all Steamboat Willie style. It looks
Yeah.
absolutely bonkers.
Did you see the Steamboat Willie slasher movie that they made?
I completely skipped the blood and honey thing to the Winnie the Pooh stuff just because I was like, "There's no way this is good."
You're not on board. You're not on board for the twisted childhood connected universe that they're coming out with.
Is that what they're calling it?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
The Bambi
hard reset on that one, guys.
The Bambi one is the next one.
The unfortunate thing is they know they don't have to try because the titles of the movie are enough to get someone to see it just because they can say they saw it or just to be a part of the cultural moment.
Oh, yeah.
So they're always going to be so bad.
Well, I'm going to see all of them. So
yeah.
Did you saw the Winnie the Pooh
one man's
one,
trash
right?
is another man's blood and honey.
Yeah, I watched.
If you had to really give Blood and Honey a star review out of 5 stars, half stars allowed.
This is going on your letterbox, Vargas.
What would you honestly give it?
Like a 2. I mean, I've seen
2? 2's not bad.
I've seen way worse movies.
But it's out of 20.
The second movie is actually better than the first one.
True. There's 2 of them. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah,
it's a Terminator situation.
Yeah. The Blood and Honey 2 is better. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmares, I'm sorry, is actually the next one. That comes out in a couple of days. We have Bambi the Reckoning, Pinocchio Unstrung, and Pooniverse Monsters Assemble all coming out this year.
Wow.
All this year?
Kevin Feige, take note. This is how you release movies.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah.
Pinocchio would be a great horror movie.
They're making
it's called Child's Play. They've already done it.
Pinocchio Unstrung.
Like, I love the idea of, like, I hope it's set in, like, a, Victorian era. Like, I think that would be, like, such a freaky movie.
Holy shit, they got Robert Englund to be in the Pinocchio movie.
Okay, so
is he Geppetto?
If like looking at these and saying which one of these has the prospect to be the best actual horror take on a character, it's easily Pinocchio. And it's almost if the same people who did the Pooh movie are doing this movie, like, that's kind of a shame that they're wasting this idea with, like, these goofballs.
Well, luckily, Mike D.
The same can be said for Morbius.
Pinocchio is in the public domain, so you can make your own Pinocchio movie.
I'm not the right person to do it. Wasn't Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was kind of a horror movie.
Oh God, that was so good. Well, that's all I got. You got anything else, Greg?
No, I mean, that's kind of the retrospective of 2024. We touched on a lot of new universes showing up. Indie darlings making a splash. Characters that we've loved died and then came back.
Sure.
And it was a overall very satisfying year of comic books. We can't always say that. So I don't know. We went to C2E2 this year as a club, did a panel with the Oblivion Bar and the Shortbox podcast. That was a lot of fun. We did a ton of TowerCon episodes with those guys at the Beskar Books. I think for the show, personally, I think we had a lot of fun.
I certainly had a lot of fun.
Jury's
Ditto.
still out for Mike D.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't realize that was a a very natural throw to me to
Yeah, I was trying to softball it, but
to say something.
Wow. 2025 is the year of 2 hosts on First Issue
I was
Club.
thinking about something else.
I forgot every time I need to throw to Mike D, I have to say, and now you talk, Mike.
Yeah. Yes, and? Oh, man. Yeah. Anyway. Not your typical 2024 retrospective, but that's the First Issue Club way.
That's right.
That's how we do things. I did read some first issues if you guys want to hear about them.
Yeah,
We
fire
are-
through them.
We are over an hour. Yeah, I think quick hits.
Okay.
I guess this is the big return of First Issue Club. So I don't know. Take your time, whatever you want to do.
No, we're good.
Don't let me bully you.
I did. Why stop now? I read. I read Cruel Kingdom, which we talked about, the horror anthology stuff back.
Yeah.
Greg Pak, Al Ewing, Chris Condon, just Tyler
God.
Smith's on here. Just a heavy hitter list of creators on this book, and it was phenomenal. The highlight for me was Al Ewing's and Como's Friendly Visitors section. It was basically just like if 1950s astronauts landed on a planet that was basically the Hobbit in the Shire and everything. And the whole story is a back and forth about how science and magic can exist. And I won't spoil it for you, but it was just some top tier, weird, creepy fantasy sci-fi stuff.
God, I'm so excited for that.
And that one was like a really, really good book if you like horror anthology stuff. I also read Those Not Afraid #1 out on Dark Horse by Kyle Starks and Patrick Pizzazaluga. It is about 2 serial killers who are racing to become the serial killer who gets the most kills in their state.
Okay. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Phenomenal.
That sounds very Kyle Starks.
It's called a murder race. They call it a murder race. And it's like the start of the book is they don't know who each other are. They're just like random serial killers, and they somehow cross paths, and they find out who each other. They find out their identities, and they're just like, wait a minute. Like they compare kills, and then they know how many kills they have, and they just like they're racing towards this certain number to become the highest kill rate serial killer in their state, and it's like going to be a fucking wild ride. And Kyle Starks is a club friend of the show and does not slow down with his books. Anyway, moving on. I read The Lucky Devils by Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. You may know them from 8 Billion Genies fame most recently. And to those of you who think this is just going to be a reskin of 8 Billion Genies, you would be stupid. This is like a whole new idea where you're born with an angel and a devil on your shoulders or whatever, and this is like not going to be exploring that, but about these 2 devils that want to dismantle hell, and like they have to go through their human people to like help them do it. So it's like a big Ocean's 11. We'll call it Ocean 666, I guess, of like how they're going to assemble all of this and use and corrupt their human people to take down hell. And it's going to be a harder job for them because the 2 people that they've been assigned their entire life are like the nicest and most chaste people ever. So they're going to have to like corrupt Ned Flanders essentially into making their plan work. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I was initially worried that this was just going to be like another 8 Billion Genies kind of reskin, but it's just a holistically different story that they're telling.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And that's it.
Hey.
Love it. Glad somebody talked about comic books on this comic book podcast.
Well, current comic books, we'll say. Well, thank you, everyone. That's a show. 2024 is over. 2025 is starting. we'll be here to walk you through it, to show you all the good stuff and the bad stuff. I am just now returning from 2026, and let me tell you, there's some twists and turns you're not ready for in 2025, but I won't spoil it. If you want more First Issue Club, go to YouTube, go to patreon.com/First Issue Club. We're on all the social medias. Until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
First Issue Club podcast is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, the people responsible for our favorite drinks, the Space Camper Cosmic IPA family of beers. Our show is edited and produced by our hosts Mike DeStacy, Greg Lichtag, and Andy Vargas. You can find us on social media at First Issue Club, and you can join the supporters who keep our humble podcast going on our Patreon at patreon.com/First Issue Club.